Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, double honors to the apostles and the elders, great millstone. Shalom to the elect. Ba'ashem Chak. My name is Jacobo from Plaintables camp. This is the apostle reviewing the apostles video. I'm reviewing this apostles video. Is Pastor Chuck says the Edomites are Arabs, which they're different people. When you look at, like the apostle is going to say, or he already said, that they're two distinct people. Now they're mixed. Some of the Edomites are mixed, some of the Arabs are mixed, some of us are mixed, but it's your nation on your father's side. Your father determines your nationality. You had Ruth in the Lord's genealogy. Ruth is a Moabite. All right. So you're going to have different, genes within the same race. All right. But your race is determined by your father, not on your phenotype. All right. Because your phenotype can look different from your father. All right. So this is a common thing that they try to make this statement. One of the reasons is so they're justified in displacing the Arab peoples. All right. So, and sometimes like the so-called Jays will call them they call them Esau. Well, it's the same thing. Yeah, the so-called Jays will call them Esau, which their father is different from Esau. You just look up the genealogy, and it's not that difficult. They're the ones that are actually the Edomites. They're hiding from their biblical nationality. They fit the description of the warlike, blessed people with the sword. The Arabs don't fit that. The Edom, the so-called Caucasian white man, he calls himself white. That's a made-up race. That they fit the power that was given to them with the sword. The sword. All right. The blessing that Esau was given of the sword. That the so-called white man fits that description. The Arabs don't fit that. All right. The most powerful sword on this earth. All right. Which is weapons. All right. Traveling weapon to ball cane. All right. It fits the so-called white man. It doesn't fit any other nation. They have the most powerful weapon. They're the most militant on the whole earth. The so-called white man, not the Arabs. The Arabs, they're rich in oil. And that's only one country that's rich in oil. That's Arab. All right. Well, I mean, they're the richest country. You got Qatar, Abu Dhabi. Those Gulf states I'm referring to. And then you got the Persians, which is Elam. So let's let the apostle play.
Because all you have to do is just look at the origins of the Arab people, and you will find that if you just do a little bit of research, and even them, the so-called Arab people know who they are. Just do a little bit of biblical research, and you will find out that the so-called Arabs come from the line of Ishmael. Now, when you go here to Genesis 16 and 11, right, it says, "And the angel of Yahweh said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai hath heard thy affliction." Right, and when you look at the word Ishmael, right, the Hebrew word there is Yashemai Allah. He has heard of the power, right? And it gives you, what the meaning of it. It says the Most High will hear, or he has heard of the power. It says son of Abraham and Sarah's handmaid Hagar, and the progenitor of the Arabian peoples. So, and that's a well-known fact among so-called Arabs, that they are from the line of Ishmael. They know that line goes back to Abraham through Ishmael. So just right there, that will dispel the myth that the Edomites are an Arabian or Arab people. All right. Now, the reason why this guy said that, and even when you go to the blue letter, to show you how the blue letter goes off also, Genesis 25:25, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. This is the first time the name Esau is mentioned in the Bible. These were the twins of Isaac and Rebekah. Jacob and Esau One came out like a regular baby, which was Jacob, a man of color, brown-skinned baby. The other one came out red. The other one came out looking like a so-called white person, or what they would call an albinoism, or however they call that term. All right. And they called his name Esau. Now, when you break the word Esau down, you go to the Ben Yehudi, because you're not going to find it in the blue letter, because the blue letter goes off on what the name of Esau means, and they also go off of who the descendants of Esau are. All right, but when you go to the Ben Yehudi, you have to go to the Hebrew portion of it, because you have half of the book is in alphabetical order in English, and then it gives you Hebrew words, and then the other half is Hebrew words, and then they'll give you the English meaning. So when you go to the Hebrew portion of it, right, in the Ben Yehudi Hebrew English dictionary, the word is, you'll see the word Aishash with the I, Sha, and Sha. And when you look up the word Aishash, it means wasted away. All right. And that's what Esau's name was called. Aish or Aishash is wasted or wasted away, and the Y at the end makes it he. Wasted away is he. And this is why Isaac called him that, because he was wasted away. He didn't look like your regular brown-skinned babies, because he was not a brown-skinned baby. He was a so-called white-looking baby, so you could understand. So Aishashwa, like I said, you look up the word Aishash in the Hebrew portion of the Ben Yehudi, and it'll tell you that it means wasted away or something, wasted away or wasted, something like that. So that's Aishash, wasted away, and the Y at the end, if it's not connected to the word, is he. Wasted away is he. And you see here it says Esau hairy. Esau does not mean hairy. All right. The word seer or sha'ir means hair. No, so these devils, they as much research as they can do, they still don't get it right in certain cases. Certain stuff they still can't get right. All right. It says, eldest son of Isaac and Rebekah and twin brother of Jacob sold the birthright for food when he was hungry, and the divine blessing went to Jacob. Yep. Then it says here, progenitor of the Arab peoples. But wait a minute, I thought the Ishmaelites were the progenitors or the fathers of the Arabian people. How is it that Esau is a progenitor of the Arab people? It's not. This is what you call deflection. And these devils do that because they know that if we can identify who the Edomites are, that's really who you have to keep your eye on, because they are the wicked. So that's, something known as deflection. Right here, deflection is a turning aside or off course. A turning aside or off course, deviation. See, the departure of an indicator or pointer from the zero reading on the scale of the instrument. So the zero reading scale on the instrument would be what? The Edomites are so-called white people. So what do they do? When they deflect, they'll say that they're the Arab people, that they're these people, they're anybody but who they really are, which are so-called white people. And
so the point is, what the apostles making is, the blessing was given to Esau, Edom, to inflict maximum death, pain, and suffering through the sword. Genesis, the 27th chapter, when Esau was given it, well, Jacob was given his blessing, and Esau was given his blessing. The people that were given the power of the sword were the Edomites, not Jacob, not Ishmael Arabs, not the Moabites. They weren't given the sword to produce maximum destruction and death. All right, the sword was given to Esau. Now, other nations besides Esau have the ability to use weapons and bombs and missiles and everything. But who's the number one? That's how we know, because people can copy technology, right? But who was actually given that blessing? Who was the first? You had the Americans, you had the Russians, you had the British. All right, all those are so-called Caucasian nations. They descend from the nation of Edom. That's how we know who they are. Then other nations copy them All right, after. All right, so we know who the Edomites are. All right, and the Arabs, they were given technology by Esau, Edom. All right, they lease fighter jets and helicopters and planes. All right, I mean Saudi Arabia proper them, the main Arabs. All right, so it can't be. It's impossible for the Arab peoples to be Edomites. And secondly, or maybe firstly, Edom and Arabs are two distinct races. They're not the same. They're not synonymous with each other. The Edomites are not synonymous with Arabs. Arabs are not synonymous. They're two different nations. I mean, so it's just it's witchcraft. Just saying something wrong and then keep repeating it over and over again. You can look it straight up. It says the Edomites were the brother of Jacob. All right. The Arabs, okay, was technically also the brother of Isaac. All right. So, and they were split and they became two distinct people. All right. Because we all come from one blood. All right. Our fathers became progenitors. All right. Jacob, Esau, Ishmael. Very simple.
Not all so-called white people are Edomites. It depends on where their line goes back to. Because you have
the father goes
among
the
nations,
progenitor.
You have Elamites, which are East Indians, Ishmaelites, which are so-called Arab people. Then you have Hamites, which are so-called African people. You have some of them that have mingled with Esau too, and some of them look white. All right. And some of those white looking people among those nations are those nations. They just look.
Yeah, some of them look like light brown skinned. All right. Some of them look, they look red bone, so-called red bone. Right, that are mixed with Esau, Edom. All right. So many people are mixed up, but it depends on your father, the progenitor, whether it's of Ishmael, whether it's of Esau, or whether it's of Jacob. Okay, 3 distinct peoples. They're not the same people, even though we all mix together. Those 3. All right, and more
like that. You know, then you have among Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, you have some white-looking ones because their fathers, laid down with white women, so-called white women, which is not the mark of the beast. And they had children by those women, and they came out looking like the mother. Like in the case that we always use, Blake Griffin, the basketball player. His father was super dark, and the son, because his mother was a white-looking woman, he came out, kind of light, I believe he has kind of reddish kind of hair. He looks he looks light, a lot lighter, but you can see he still looks like a Jake. But
yeah, my grandmother, I saw a picture from her from the 60s. She's red bone. This is why my father's not really dark, and I'm not that dark. I'm like right in the middle. I'm like two-toned. All right, because in my genetic line, I probably got an Edomite on my mother's side. Well, I do. I'm sure I do. All right, because I see a lot of red. Like my aunt is a red bone, very, very light skinned. Kind of like certain Puerto Ricans look. All right, and all my brothers and sisters are lighter than me. All right, so it depends on your father. All right, that's who your nation is. Just because the blood is mixed doesn't mean that we are of that nation or that we're no nation. All right, it depends on your father. All right, my father comes from the line of Judah. All right, or one of the tribes of Israel. All right.
But his son, which he had with a so-called white-looking woman, his son came out looking like a little white boy. But that little baby that looked like a white boy is really an Israelite. He just happened to look that way. And that's just one example out of many, so you can get an idea. Now, like I said, Esau say the Arabs are Esau, they're Edomites, and that's it. Don't question it, because we are the authority and we tell you what it is. So when you look up Edom, I was trying to find this yesterday because I knew I had read it somewhere, but I couldn't find it. So I had to keep searching and searching until I eventually found it. But this is from the Encyclopedia Britannica, and you put the name Edom, which I copied this and put it in the description box along with this video also. And we were going to read a little bit of this. It says, Edom, ancient land bordering ancient Israel in what is now southwestern Jordan, between the Dead Sea and the Gulf of Aqaba, right? And we see it right here. That's the map. You could click on the map, and it'll give you the area. Up here, this is Israel, Judea, right? Then you have down here Edom.
Right, and what some people get confused is when the Arabs, they conquer Edom, I believe under the name of Nabateans. And they took wives and harlots and of them, and they mixed together. That's why you see certain Arabs that look very, very light skinned. It's because of the harems they had and the wives they took. It doesn't make them Edomites. The Edomites are the people, or the so-called white man. Those are the Edomites. Those are the people that have that were given the blessing to make weapons that can produce maximum death and destruction. And then the different nations copied the technology, okay? But the first ones that have it, the ones that have the most blessing, the ones that can do it the best, all right? Through that blessing of the sword is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man.
And then you had Moab, Ammon. Today, the land of Edom comprises, Jordan. They call it Jordan today. But in ancient times, it was known as Edom. Before the Edomites lived there, you had a group of Hamites known as the Horites. The Horites go back to the word Har, which means mountain, because they were the original people that inhabited those lands. And then Esau conquered them and took over that portion of land. So the original inhabitants of this land was really Hamites, but then the Edomites took over. All right. So keep that in mind. It says the Edomites probably occupied the area about the 13th century BCE, though.
Right, when they conquered them, some of them took wives, took certain concubines, and some of them got that a little bit of color in their blood, so to speak. All right. So today you see some of the so-called Jays, they'll look colored, all right, but they mainly look, so-called pale fleshed. But you have very different variations among them, and that's one example. Right? When you conquer a nation, you just don't slaughter everybody. You take wives, concubines. That's what nations typically do. Harlots, sometimes you whore some of them out, depending on your culture, and you end up having babies with them certain times. All right.
Closely related to the Israelites, according to the Bible, they were descendants of Esau. They had frequent conflicts with them and were probably subject to them at the time of the Israelite kingdom, 11th to the 10th century BCE. No, they were not probably. They were subject to them, according to the prophecy that Isaac said, that, he shall, he's going to be your head. This was in Genesis 27 chapter, and then he's going to pretty much rule over you. And what happened was, during the time of the kings of Judah, Esau revolted from under the hand of Judah according to the prophecy, and they set up kings among themselves, and that's when they started governing themselves and ruling among themselves as kings, but they didn't take over the world as of yet. It wasn't until roughly about 100 years, well, actually more than 100 years later, about about roughly 500, 600 years later, they would come into power as the Greeks or the Macedonians. All right. And then from that point on, that's when Esau took over the world. That's when the wicked started to rule the world, or the earth was given into the hand of the wicked.
Right, I'm gonna leave that there. Yeah. So they the Macedonians, they assumed the name of the Greeks. They're not Greeks. The Macedonians and the Greeks are two distinct peoples. Also, that's another thing people get mixed up on. Say they were Greeks. Now you can say their name was changed because they stole the name, but originally they were Macedonians. The Greeks didn't really trust the Macedonians. We do the research. All right, so they became Greek after they conquered different parts of Greece, and starting with the conquering of different city-states in Greece, they assumed their culture and identity. That's Esau for you. All right. Other nations done the same thing, but Esau, he's, I guess, most popular for doing it. All right. So I'll leave that there. I'll leave this link in the description box. It's clear. You look up Arabia. It means mixed. All right. Inhabitant of Arabia, steppe dweller. So you know where Arabia is. Arab. All right. Steppe dweller. All right. You look up Ishmael, Yashmai Allah, the son of Abraham and Sarah, handmaid Hagar, and a progenitor of the Arabian peoples. All right. Now, one reason that his name means mix is because he had a lot of harems. That could be a theory of why was it Arab. His name means mixed. All right, but it's on his mother's side. Your father makes you your is the progenitor. It carries a seed. So no matter what the mother looks like, whether they mix with Hamites, mix with Esau, they're still their father's side. You look at certain Saudi princes and certain of them over there, you'll see up in the Arab community, you'll see very dark ones and you'll see very light ones, especially in the royalty, because of their mother. That may be one reason why it means mix. That's one of the names they have. All right. And it goes into, says, Jehovah, also some of the Philistines brought Jehoshaphat presents and tribute silver, and Arabians brought him flocks, 7,000 rams. All right. Now let's go down to Nehemiah. But Sanballat, the Horonite, and Tobiah, the servant of the Ammonite, and Geshem, the Arabian, heard about it. They laughed us to scorn. All right. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there. All right. So the Arabian is the son of Ishmael. All right. They descend from Ishmael. All right. Now the rest of the apostles' video you can check out. I'll leave his link in the description box. But that's pretty much it. I mean, there's nothing really. I may go into some more detailed information. Ham and we are distinct people. Just because we've mixed together on our mother's side doesn't mean that we're no race now and all of a sudden and that we become the people that we mixed with. That doesn't mean that. All right. It means that we are who our father is, no matter if we know it or not. All right. And we know that you're an Israelite when you're drawn by the word that the prophets speak. All right. We're saved by grace, by faith, and it's a gift. All right. So no matter what you look like does not determine your race. All right. It's a spirit that in you determines your race. All right. Because the spirit was before the flesh. All right. So, and it's, we produce those spirits by the seed of your father. All right. So hope you edified. Shalom.